Hey, Tanisha, welcome to the Faith Inspired Podcast.
Hi, how are you?
Doing wonderful. I am doing great, actually, because I am super pumped for this episode. I have to say, when I was preparing for it, I had like 50 plus questions for you. I have narrowed them down, but this is just like a top podcast episode for me because I'm just such a fan of what you create and what you do. You've actually been a true inspiration for me as I've been building my business. And so this is just super exciting. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you for supporting me without even knowing me in the tough days and in the good days as I've been creating Faith and Gather and the Faith Inspired podcast.
Yeah, I am so excited to chat today. It's going to be a great conversation. So I'm
Yes.
excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks again. So let's dive in. I know I was looking at your Instagram right before we dived into this recording because your numbers have jumped up quite a bit. Your followership in the past couple of weeks, you hit 50, and then all of a sudden it's like overnight you hit 60,000 followers. And so I was taking a peek at that, but when I did, I noticed that like half of the people that I follow you. So like you've got just an amazing group of women that I know, female entrepreneurs that are following you for just inspiration, daily inspiration. So I would love for you to dive in for the women who aren't following you and don't know who you are, or for those who do follow but just don't know you personally, to really share who you are, who is Tanisha, and then also your company, Christian Entrepreneur Org.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Tanesha. I am the founder and creator of Christian Entrepreneur Org. And on social media, it's CEO for Women because it's a much shorter name to remember. And so, yeah, it's just an organization to encourage Christian women to pursue the ideas that God has given them. And so we kind of fuse faith with business. And so I'll give you some business tips, but I'm also going to talk about faith a lot. And so, yeah, that's kind of the gist of what I do. And I really just have a heart to see women who are faith based entrepreneurs just show up and kind of go for the thing that God has put in their heart. So that's a little about me.
I love that. And then who is Tanisha as the mom and the wife and kind of the everyday woman?
Yeah, so I'm a mom. I have two girls with my husband, and then I also have a bonus daughter. And the kids keep us pretty busy. My daughter, Olivia, she's my oldest, she's 8, but she's in gymnastics and swim and track and field. And so when I am not encouraging women in running the business, I am typically out somewhere on a field watching a track and field event or cheering her on at gymnastics. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I'm based right outside of Washington, D.C. So we like to go out, do festivals and things like that on the weekend. So I'm a really outgoing, outdoorsy type of person.
Oh, I love that. As am I. I've never been to Washington, D.C., though. That's on my list. And I know we'll get into talking about your social a little bit, but I was so bummed it's on the weekend of my anniversary. So that's like one of those, like, no, can't really,
Yeah.
can't really get out of that one. But yes, maybe one day I will come and visit Washington, D.C. and call you up.
Yes, absolutely.
Love that. So, this CEO is not your first business. So, I think when people see the success that you have had on social media and with your products and just your organization in general, they would think like, "Oh man, she got it right like right away." But that's not the case with you. You have attempted businesses in the past, but they just didn't work or didn't stick. So, what do you attribute to having this company CEO actually stick and just be so successful?
Yeah, I think, and a lot of people do think that. They think, oh my God, she got it right on the first try. And I have done so many things in the past. A quick rundown, because if I gave you the full rundown, it would be forever. I have done jewelry, like hand beaded jewelry. I've done a thrifted online boutique. We had a mobile boutique that we were going to launch with like a huge box truck. Party planning. I have done so many things. And I realized that I was trying all of these businesses, but I was totally skipping over what my purpose was because most people don't talk about the two together. We kind of talk about entrepreneurship or purpose, and we never really kind of fuse them together. And so I just remember one night just asking God, well, hey, what do you want me to do? And so his response to me was, I just want your voice. And so from there, how do you turn your voice into a business? And I think that is where most of us are. We're like, well, that can't be a business because it's so simple. And so God is like, nope, I just want your voice. So for the first 2 years, I was just using my voice. There were no products. There was barely even a website. There was just me and my voice out here in Instagram land and kind of talking to whoever would listen. And I started the page from zero. In fact, I did not even tell family or friends about it because I had started that many businesses in beforehand that I was kind of like embarrassed because I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my 10th venture. I can't possibly tell them that I'm starting another business. And so I didn't tell a lot of people until it started growing. And they're like, hey, is this you? I saw you pop up on this page. Is this your company? And so that's kind of the story of like how people came to know that, hey, this is Taneshia behind the brand.
Just a divine download from God of what you're supposed to do. I love that. And yeah, simple, your voice. That to me would be incredibly confusing. I'd be like, okay, Lord, my voice, what do I do with that? So yeah, how beautiful. And you've created just this amazing community by using your voice and doing exactly what God told you to do. And I believe your answer will be a little bit about this, about finding your purpose, but really for me, something that I struggle with and that I know other women who are entrepreneurs or just want to do something besides what they're doing in their life right now. And they're multi passionate women. They really struggle with finding a central theme, or they feel a little bit chaotic in what they're doing, and it doesn't feel like it's an inner web together. Do you have tips on how you do that yourself, or how you kind of guide others to do that so it doesn't feel so chaotic or so unmanageable, and you just have that one kind of purpose?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So, I always suggest that people find who they are called to serve first. Because I am a multi passionate person. I'm a true creative person. And I'm one of those people who I will find passion in every single thing I do. Like, I want to host parties. I want to do hair. I want to do fashion. I want to have a t shirt brand. Like, I just genuinely find passion. I'm just a passionate person. And so, those things that we're passionate about, you can do them, but if you combine it with the person that you're called to serve, the who you're passionate about, then as a multi passionate person and a creative, you can sort of bounce all over. And the reason that you can do that is because you're still serving the same person. So, my person that I am passionate about is Christian women entrepreneurs. And so, if I wanted to host an event, which I am on June 24th, I can do that. And then I release products because I love creating products. And then I've released several other things because that's just who I am. I'm just a naturally creative person, but it all comes back to the one person that I'm called to serve. So if you are thinking that you have to box yourself in and to just do one thing, you don't have to. If you just find that person that God's calling you to serve, you can serve that person in a ton of different ways. So, yeah.
That's a lot of freedom in that, just that one person that you have to serve, and there's some clarity in that, which I think is so important as an entrepreneur. Is most of the time you don't always have that clarity, like or at least for me, I will say, I'm not going to speak for every woman, but it's tough to always have that clarity. And so to have that guiding light of who you're serving, that can help you really make those decisions to say yes or no easier.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what a lot of people don't know about you, and I don't know if this has changed recently, but is that you have a full-time job, and then you're also a mama, and do everything else. You have the CEO, this organization, and so how do you actually juggle all of that?
That's a good question. So it's broken down in a few parts. So I do still work full time, but I do realize that I have a more flexible schedule and I work from home. It's kind of like a hybrid situation. So I do realize that not everybody is as fortunate to have that. But before I had that freedom and I still ran this company, it was just a lot of long nights. And I know we don't always want to hear that. And I just had to put myself in the mind frame of, this is not forever. This is just a season. So even when I'm like launching a product or like right now I'm doing the event, some seasons are going to be more hours for me because I do work a full-time job. And so I might have to work my full-time job. And then we've got track practice right after that. And then I'm still a mom and a wife and I've got to cook dinner. And then I have those hours at 9 to 10 o'clock at night to kind of work on the business. And so I think God gives us the grace to do that. And we have to give ourselves the grace to do that and not compare our journey to other people. Because maybe if I didn't have a full time job, maybe I could have hosted an event 3 years ago. Maybe I'd be farther along. But that is just not where God has me. In this season, I'm just comfortable with where He has me. And so I think a lot of people just need to do what you can and don't rush it, because I like to talk about that. A lot of us, we see the end goal and we want to get there so badly and so fast that we just end up just rushing our way through the process. But where you are, it's a part of the story. Like me still working this full time, I'm sure somebody is listening like, holy crap, she is working a full time job and she's still running this organization. And yes, it's possible. So don't rush through it because your story is absolutely somebody else's inspiration. So,
How do you designate between working hard for the glory of God and knowing that it's for your business and then hustle? Because I think that's something my story is that I was working in corporate America 60 plus hours a week and overstressed, and I've completely transformed my life. And now I think I'm to the point where, to just be completely honest, I'm too relaxed, where I'm like, I feel like I should be hustling a little bit more. I'm not, maybe I'm not reaching my numbers because I'm a little too relaxed on this. And so, but then I get concerned, well, am I doing this in my own strength if I start to try to push a little bit more? So how do you determine as you're doing this if it's in your own strength or if it's coming from God?
yeah, that's a great question. So even with this conference that's coming up, that is completely God. If you've been following my community for a while, I don't typically show up on lives. I don't typically post pictures of myself. I am a behind the scenes person and I really just thrive in that area. Like if there was something going on, I'm the person like behind the curtains, like telling people where to go and organizing. I absolutely don't like being front and center. And God is like, no, I have called you to lead this community, not to hide behind it. And that is why I've been putting myself out there, showing up, showing my face, doing the in person event, because it's truly something that God wants me to do. And it's absolutely not what I want to do because I enjoy just, again, behind the scenes. And so I think we've all been where you just said you were like, should I be hustling more? Should I be doing more? But I think God tells us when we are supposed to be doing more. I think and sometimes it's subtle. I was using the example the other day that, when you tell your children to do something, sometimes your first time is kind of like nice. You're like, hey, pick up your shoes. And then the second time it's like, hey, pick up your shoes. And then it gets more stern as they don't listen. And so that's where I was with this event that's coming up. He started putting it in my ear probably almost a year ago, like, hey, you need to build community in person. People really desire the in person connection. There's only so much you can do in the online space. I need you in front of them. And it was very subtle. And it was like, okay, God, give me some more time. And now it's like, no, I asked you to do an in person event and I need you to do it now. And so pay attention to those things that kind of just drop in your spirit. That's God. And that's His nice way of saying it right now. And he'll probably get a little more stern as time goes on if you're like me.
As a good parent would.
Yes.
As a good parent would. Okay, so I do want to pull back the curtain a little bit. If you would share with us, so you have a full-time job, you are, I call it a full-time mama, even if you have a full-time job, because it just never ends. The clock is always going as a mom, and then you have Christian Entrepreneur Org. But how do you practically, actually pulling back the curtains, what does that look like for you? Sometimes late nights, but do you do things that help you run the business so then you can do the other areas of your life? What does that practical day to day kind of look like for you?
Yeah. Being that my community and my business, so to speak, is more faith led, I don't have the typical business advice where I batch create content because a lot of the stuff is downloaded from God. Like there are days where He gives me something and He's like, no, it's not for now, it's for later. Or there are some days where he gives me something, he's like, no, it's not for a community, it's just for you. And so I have to decipher through that. And so there's sometimes he'll give me a download of a ton of stuff and I can kind of spread it out. But there are times where it's like I'm driving and he's like, I need you to pull over and I need this is what has to go out tomorrow or later tonight. And so but on the other side of it, with emailing my community, I also have a text community, and I have an email community that's very engaged. And so I am able to batch those a little bit more because that is more of a storytelling where I can share a story. And I'm going to give you guys a secret that most people won't. A lot of people use templates for their emails. And it's not because you don't know how to write. It's because when you're constantly cranking out content, and that's because that's what social media is. You've got to put out content. When you're constantly cranking it out so much, your brain, you're going to get writer's block. You're going to get that. But sometimes you just need something to jumpstart it. You just need something to quickly jumpstart it and give you an outline of what to discuss. And so maybe last year actually, I realized that I was creating emails every single week. And I was like, man, this is time consuming. I want to share these stories, but this is taking so much time. So I took probably 2 weeks and I created 52 emails. And I did 52 emails so that I could send out one a week like clockwork without having to ever write one email for the entire year. And I did that by using templates. There's pretty much a template for everything. And the template really just gives you the outline. It doesn't tell you exactly what to say. You're going to plug in your own story, but it allows you to still show up, be authentic, but get out of that creative block that you're in. So templates are amazing. They are literally life-saving for my business. And then a lot of automation tools in the back end where I have like a automatic workbook that goes out and it follows up with my audience for 7 days after they subscribe. And so that's all automated where I don't necessarily have to send them an email and check in every single day. It just automatically checks in with them for 7 days just to see if they have any questions. And yeah, so automations is really one. And then batching if I can, and then templates wherever I can. And kind of just organization is the key. And I do that with my personal life as well. Everything from dinner. From dinner, I make a menu for the week. This is what we're having, and I kind of go by that. So wherever I can organize my life saves a lot of time.
I love that you let the Lord guide you with those personal messages because I often struggle with that too. Is when I have like the really good ones that people respond and really engage with and say, like, I felt like God, that was a word directly for me. Those are the ones that are like, I read it in the morning and then I share it, just like an hour later. Like it just really is a word from God. But then you do have that business side where you need to continue to run it and have it be automated because you're one person to do it. So thank you for sharing that kind of behind the curtain scene of it's a little bit of both because you're going to get more connection in some facets and mediums of communication than you will in others. And so knowing when to really spend more time in some than others. And yeah, templates are fantastic. There is a woman, I've shared it before, Ashlyn Carter. She's also a Christian. She has fantastic just templates for copywriting for emails. And now even with AI, I don't know if you've started to use AI, but that is a like best friend to me now. Don't worry, listeners, I still create the content. People get very anxious, but if something sounds funny to me and I've written it, it helps me just like as a copywriter, and some or like having that writer's block of like, oh, what should I focus on today? It just helps with brainstorming, and so those are just great ways. So thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate you sharing behind the scenes. So I'm also interested in, on a personal level, you share a lot of your heart, and it seems like you're sharing a lot of what God is working on through you through social media. You write those messages, you have those heart to heart conversations with God, and then it gets put out there in the world. But what right now that maybe is being seen externally or is just internally, like what is God working on you right now in certain areas, either your personal life or your business that you're working through and he's kind of teaching you a lesson right now that we may hear or we're hearing at the moment?
Yeah, it would go back to what mentioned earlier that he is pushing me to step out because I am just comfortable behind the scenes. That is really where he's pushing me. to step out of my comfort zone, and hiding behind my gifts a little bit, because I'm a great writer, and I went to school for communications, and I'm like, I just enjoy writing and I enjoy using my gift of encouragement. But God is like, no, you can't pick apart your purpose. You have to use all of it. And all of it includes more than just writing. It includes your face. It includes your personal story. It includes you showing up in person. And so God is really just like, no, we can't. I let you pick over it for a few years, and now you're going to use all of it. And so that's where he's working on me right now.
He let you feel comfortable for a few years and now he's ready to move you out of that comfort zone, which I can't wait to see more of you. And I have seen that on social, how you've just been trying a little bit more, every week to put yourself out there. And I struggle with that too, because it's that balance of focusing on God and having the glory go to God and instead of you. And so how do you beautifully do that? But I know that you will do a wonderful job of that. And I know me and others will be looking forward to seeing more of you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So what is next? God's working on you in that area, but what is next for Christian Entrepreneur Org? We did mention that you have the social coming up and you are actually going to have an in-person meeting for a very limited group of individuals. And by the time this episode comes out, it may be sold out, but I'm assuming you might have more in the future. So tell us a little bit more on that and then where God has you maybe after the social, if he's downloaded anything to you.
Yeah, so the social is going to be a regular, recurring event. I don't know if it'll be twice a year or maybe once a quarter, and preferably to travel doing it, because I really just want to simplify entrepreneurship for women in business, because it's not as hard as the online space makes it seem. I mean, there are challenges and there are strategies that you need, but it's truly, if you just break out the basics and trust God, it really is doable. And so I think that is just where God is taking me. Like, the products were fun, Tanisha. They were great. They sold well, but I need more from you. And so that is where the community is headed, to being more of a kind of just a social event where we have a good time. It's not your typical conference. Don't, wear a suit and think you're going to sit just stiff the whole time. Like, no, there's going to be music. We're going to have lunch. We are going to learn. I am going to provide workbooks. And we're going to, like, when you leave, you will be able to walk out of there knowing what vendors to use, how to set up your back end email marketing. You're going to know every single thing when you walk out to be able to go home and literally map out your entire business. And so that is what's next. And I'm excited about it.
That sounds fantastic. And I think that's what small business and solopreneurs are craving, really craving that community and then that direction, because it can often feel very lonely in this world. And so that's beautiful that you're going to get out there and you're going to have the show on the road. And so maybe I will attend one next year or whenever you have the next one. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'd love to have you.
I do want to give you an opportunity to talk through one of your products is the journal, and that released, if correct me if I'm wrong, last year or this year, but sometime recently it launched. So I'd love for you to walk through that and what listeners can find in that journal, and along with it is a course, because I think that would also help if they're interested in starting their dream and really moving along with it. That could be a great resource for them.
Yeah, so this journal released on Black Friday, last year, and it's done great. So it is a journal that comes with a course where I am walking you through each section of the journal. So we talk about identifying your gifts, identifying your purpose. We talk about email marketing. We talk about content creation in there, how to stay on track. And then in the back, there are 52 weekly devotionals so that you can read those and really pair them with God's word as you are working through the business process. And so there are 6 videos that comes with it. And those are they are short and to the point videos. Most of them are 10 minutes. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 that are a little bit over, but I really understand that my target audience, they are wives, they're moms, they have full-time jobs, and they don't have time to filter through the fluff. Like, they've been through this before. They just need the straightforward answers, how to set it up and how to get it done. And so that's why the videos are 10 minutes. I'm not spending time introducing myself or wasting. No, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. This is where you go to get it done. And so the videos have been great. They kind of just walk you through each step. And the goal is to go through one section at a time. It also comes with a PDF bonus file that has over 50 vendors and manufacturers. There's a section for if you want to launch a t-shirt brand or apparel brand, if you want to launch a beauty brand, if you want to write a book, if you want to do e-products or digital products, if you want to, there's one more in there, but there are different industries that are in there, and this is where you go to create your product. These are the manufacturers and the vendors that you use. This is how you set up your email. It's just literally step by step. And so the social that I'm teaching, I'm literally teaching the journal live. And that is why it's an intimate space, because I want to see where you're working on. Like, show me your Instagram. Like, stand beside me, pull up your Instagram, and I want to see what you're posting, and I want to give you feedback. And so that's why these events are not going to be just large and over the top, because I truly want to interact with the community and I want to give you feedback on your specific business. So the journal is great. And if you can't attend the conference in person, the journal is just as good, because you still get my personal interaction, because it's the video aspect that you'll have with the course. So I think it's pretty good, and I've gotten good feedback on it.
It's fantastic. And I love your heart for keeping it just short and simple and
Yeah.
to the point. That is me right there. That is my heart for Faith and Gather. Like, give me the practical, give me the information. We are busy. I love you, but you don't need to know more about me. And let's just get to the stuff that's going to help in our everyday life when we're juggling it all. So I so appreciate that about you and the journal. Awesome. I'm going to grab one for myself because I think it would be super
Oh,
helpful
yay.
still in the stage of my journey as well. Well, wonderful. Well, this has been fantastic. I do want to give an opportunity for you to share where the listeners can find that journal and how they can connect with you. And then if the social is still open, or I'm sure you're going to have, information up for the next one where they can get that info as well.
Yeah, so you can connect with me online at CEO for Women. And I did not create a discount code, but by the time this airs, they'll be able to use it. So I'm going to create one as soon as we get off. Faith Inspired. So if you just use that, you will get a discount towards the journal. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. And yeah, stay connected with me there. If you sign up for our emails, I send out weekly emails. There's also a link at the bottom of my website where you can subscribe to our weekly text community. And that's just sort of the Instagram version or the text version of Instagram, where I send out a really short, quick, inspirational message to start your week off. But yeah, there's lots of ways to stay connected.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so very much. And I have one more question for you before we head out. I want to know what brought you joy today.
Just brings back, or is bringing out my excitement for what's to come, and really being able to connect with the community face to face. When I think about it, it sounds exciting in my head, but when I actually like talk out loud about it, like, oh my gosh, we're actually doing this. Like, wow, this isn't just a thought anymore. So that has brought me joy today, because I'm realizing that, hey, you're scared of doing it, but you're still showing up and you're doing it, and God is going to guide you through the process. So I am overjoyed about that.
Amen. Amen. I know it will be just an absolute success, and I can't wait to see all the responses and the women who are able to attend and just be blessed by the skills that God has given you. And yeah, thank you so much, really, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for encouraging me and other women that I know who are on this entrepreneurial journey. It really is something that is such a blessing to be able to go in every day and just have a word of encouragement as we're on this journey.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me on here. I hope that this message really helps someone who's listening to it to know that, hey, God, if he gives you the idea and the vision, he's going to help you get it
Yeah.
done.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.